This assembly witnessed absurd theatrics in the morning from the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who once again glorified terrorism that is so central to their foreign policy. However, no degree of drama and no level of lies can conceal the facts. This is the very same Pakistan which, at the UN Security Council on 25th April 2025, shielded the Resistance Front, a Pakistani-sponsored terror outfit, from the responsibility of carrying out the barbaric massacre of tourists in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. President, a country long steeped in the tradition of deploying and exporting terrorism has no shame in advancing the most ludicrous narratives to that end. Let us recall that it sheltered Osama bin Laden for a decade, even while pretending to partner in the war against terrorism. Its ministers have just recently acknowledged that they have been operating terrorist camps for decades. It should come as no surprise that once again this duplicity continues, this time at the level of its Prime Minister. A picture speaks 1,000 words, and we saw many pictures of terrorists slain in Bahawalpur and Murid Ke terror complexes by Indian forces during Operation Sindoor. When senior Pakistani military and civilian officials publicly glorify and pay homage to such notorious terrorists, can there be any doubt about the proclivities of this regime? The Prime Minister of Pakistan also advanced a bizarre account of the recent conflict with India. The record on this matter is clear. Till 9th May, Pakistan was threatening more attacks on India. But on 10th May, its military pleaded with us directly for a cessation to the fighting. The intervening event was the destruction caused to multiple Pakistani air bases by Indian forces. The pictures of that damage are, of course, publicly accessible. If destroyed runways and burnt-out hangars look like victory, as the Prime Minister claimed, Pakistan is welcome to enjoy it. The truth is that, as in the past, Pakistan is responsible for a terrorist attack on innocent civilians in India. We have exercised the right to defend our people against such actions and have brought the organizers and perpetrators to justice. The Pakistani Prime Minister has spoken about wanting peace with India. If he is indeed sincere, the pathway is clear. Pakistan must immediately shut down all terrorist camps and hand over to us terrorists wanted in India. It is also ironic that a country which wallows in hate, bigotry, and intolerance should preach to this assembly on matters of faith. The political and public discourse of Pakistan reflects its true nature. Clearly, a look by them at the mirror is long overdue. Mr. President, India and Pakistan have long agreed that any outstanding issue between them will be addressed bilaterally. There is no room for any third party in that regard. This is our long-standing national position. Where terrorism is concerned, we are making it clear that there will be no distinction between the terrorists and their sponsors. Both will be held accountable. Nor will we allow terrorism to be practiced under the cover of a nuclear blackmail. India will never bow to such threats. India's message to the world is clear. There must be zero tolerance for terrorism. I thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, we are compelled to respond to a state that cannot decide whether to masquerade as the world's largest democracy or expose itself as the world's largest factory of disinformation. Year after year, India drags its bundle of recycled falsehoods to this forum, but let me set the record straight. India has become the only country that practices state-sponsored terrorism as policy at home and abroad. Its hypocrisy is well exposed. It cannot hide anymore its aiding, abetting, and financing of terrorism in Pakistan, its covert terrorist networks across the region and the globe, and its reign of terror in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Through its proxies like TTP, BLA, and Majid Brigade, Indian-sponsored terrorism has not just claimed lives of thousands of innocent civilians in Pakistan, it has turned places of worship, learning, and livelihood into sites of carnage. Pakistan's sacrifices in the global fight against terrorism have for long been recognized by the international community. This forum certainly needs no sermon from an aggressor, occupier, and perpetrator of state-sponsored terrorism. Pakistan not only condemned, but also called for credible, impartial, and independent investigation into Pahalgam incident. If India had nothing to hide, it should have agreed to such investigations. After the incident, despite calls for restraint, dialogue, and diplomacy by the international community, India escalated the situation and committed unwarranted aggression against Pakistan from 7 to 10 May 2025, killing innocent men, women, and children. Pakistan has maintained a principled and calibrated approach before, during, and after the conflict, avoiding harm to civilian and civilian infrastructure. India's reckless brinkmanship and provocative posturing exposed its hegemonic ambitions. When its adventurism collapsed into defeat, it resorted to excuses, but the truth could not be concealed. The bubble of hubris has been burst, the myths of military might shattered, and the irrefutable evidence of Indian losses has been provided and well documented by the international community. India's holding in abeyance of the Indus Waters Treaty has unmasked it as a blatant violator of international law. By weaponizing water, which is a lifeline for 240 million people of Pakistan, it has demonstrated that it is a state that threatens regional peace, denies millions right to water, and breaches the sanctity of a humanitarian treaty. Mr. President, persecution of minorities has become state policy of RSS BJP dispensation. Muslims are lynched for their faith, Christians assaulted for their worship, Sikhs for their identity, and Dalits dehumanized for their caste. The world has not forgotten Gujarat, where thousands of Muslims were butchered under the state patronage. Delhi, when mobs rampaged while police looked away. Manipur, where hundreds were killed and thousands were displaced. India's record is written not only in blood, but also in words. Hateful rhetoric from the highest leadership, open calls for genocide, and a pliant media feeding bigotry. In incredibly intolerant India, Islamophobia today is institutionalized in law, normalized in politics, and glorified in the media. Beyond its borders, India bullies neighbors, blocks regional cooperation, exports violence abroad through extrajudicial assassinations, and funds proxies to destabilize the region. This is the face of new India. Islamophobia at home, aggression abroad, with Hindutva ideology at its core. Mr. President, while denial and distortions are India's chosen weapons, no fabrication can alter a simple truth. Jammu and Kashmir is not and has never been an integral part of India. The resolutions of the Security Council declare Jammu and Kashmir as a disputed territory whose final disposition shall be decided by a free and impartial plebiscite to be conducted under the auspices of the United Nations. To sustain its occupation, India has deployed 900,000 troops, turning Jammu and Kashmir into one of the most militarized zones in the world. The outcome is tragically consistent. Imposition of draconian laws and thousands of fake encounters, enforced disappearances, unmarked graves, custodial killings, systematic sexual violence, and regular media blackouts. Since 5 August 2019, India has accelerated its settler colonial project through unlawful demographic engineering in a territory where decolonization remains unfinished. Mr. President, unlike India, Pakistan is committed to peaceful coexistence, mutual respect, and regional stability. But we have made it absolutely clear India has no license to violate our territorial integrity and sovereignty and kill innocent civilians. If aggression is imposed on us, we will respond, and we do that with courage, resolve, and strength, as we did in Operation Banyanul Marsoos. Pakistan will continue to expose India's hypocrisy, its occupation, double standards, denial of human rights to the Kashmiris, and its disinformation war. We will not let hollow rhetoric distract from the core issue. The people of Jammu and Kashmir deserve justice, dignity, and freedom by exercising their right to self-determination, and they shall have freedom one day. I thank you.